at the same rate. So it's like it's still very challenging.
So you say y'all still get, even though y'all don't act on it, you guys still get the urge? Like when you see a guy like, man, I would hit that. I'm not saying I'm going to, but I would. Because with men, they have this show called Smash or Pass. I do them, or I would do her. I would do that.
And I like to attribute some of it. Again, we talk about the age thing. Men, when y'all are in your prime in the 18s and 20s and whatever, and early 20s,
bunny rabbits.
Yeah. but women, it hits until late 30s, early 40s, early 50s because of our hormones. A lot of this stuff. So that makes it harder for us.
Women after 40 are the most freakiest
because it's harder.
They want it yesterday.
It's more challenging.
And I think too, though, a woman's more confident. She knows who she is already, and she's already gone through whatever.
So she knows her body. Is that
you definitely know your body.
Definitely.
Because you know who you are.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
so
confident.
it's very more challenging for me now to say I'm celibate, waiting until marriage, than if it was when I was younger, because I'm dealing with the hormonal. I'm dealing with the physical things. You're talking about DNA. We got hormones that we deal with because of how God made us and to have babies. So it's like some of that is hard. You got to get on medicine or different things women have to do.
Let me ask y'all a question. Yeah. Is being faithful or being committed in a relationship, is that something that's taught? Does that start in the home? Is that something that you just make a conscious decision to just do? Explain that, because you have a lot of people that want to be faithful, but they just struggle too because there's so much temptation out here. It's a struggle trying not to eat that donut that you've been trying to avoid, but you just get the munchies or whatever. But is being faithful, is that taught? Or is that something that people just make a conscious decision to just do? Because it's not easy at all. Nobody wants to do.
I still feel like it's innately. It depends on the person. And I'm going to keep saying that. And the only reason why I say that, because, like even when I was in high school, I've always been that person that nobody taught me this. Don't date, your ex-boyfriend's cousin. Don't date your ex-boyfriend's friend, or don't date your homegirl's, ex-man. It's been, when I was a teenager, I have a crush on a guy and he might like the other girl. And then he'll come at me like a year later, try to holler at me. I'm like, no, because you went out with my homegirl. Nobody taught me that. But that's just something that innately within myself
and I
that
can
I
connect
just
with
knew.
that. Like I would never date somebody
that innately some people are just built that way. It's not something that's taught. Because you could be in a household where it's a broken home, right? And you go ahead and when you grow up, your household is totally different from what you were taught. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes you break generational curses down the road. But I feel like it's just something that is just what resonates with you. You know what I mean? That's just me.
Because I always wonder what separates the faithful man from the serial cheater. What separates somebody who's just don't have any control versus somebody that says, you know what? If I walk through door number 2 and I know what I'm going to find in there and I know what I'm going to do, I'm just smart enough not to walk through door number 2 because I know it's a bunch of big booty, whatever chicks in there. So I know not to walk through door number 2. Smart. You got some guys say, you know what? I'm happy, but I'm just curious. Let me walk through door number 2. Let me just see what's in there.
I'm still gonna say that it's what they're missing inside.
What about you, Dr. V? Is being faithful taught?
It could be. I would say it could be both.
Okay.
I know people who were taught, raised like that. I would say I was raised like that. Parents still together. I always get it wrong. Hey, mommy, daddy, 46 years or whatever. But I was taught like that. But I also still make a conscious decision to I've never cheated on anybody. I would rather leave and be done with the situation than go to that level. I've never, so it was both. But I do know people, to your point, that have it innately in them to make that conscious decision over and over to never do it. But I do have friends and I know people who said no, that it was how they were raised.
Okay.
Because we have to understand, like, a lot of how we were raised has to do with our adult.
Yeah, it conforms us.
Yeah, everything.
Absolutely.
We have to break it. And to your point, when you said sometimes you do have to break generational curses, and people don't believe that that's a thing. That is a real thing. If you see a similar pattern in the family, like everybody's divorced by a certain age, or everybody has been married,
and they haven't even been together.
Right. Or if you see everybody got a certain illness, there's certain things that have to be broken, to your point. So
I agree. I agree.
What about you, Fitz?
Yes, it can be taught, and then it can be with an instinct too, like kind of what you were saying, because we're faithful to our jobs, faithful to our barbers, faithful to things that that outside our relationship bonds. And it can be taught, like just based on like our background, where we come from. If you come from certain family dynamics and you've seen like loyalty or good faith people, that can transition to how your kids and your offspring and your family. So it can be taught, and it's just really just depends on the person if they have the will and the discipline to want to go that route. So that's what I'm saying.
I like that. Good stuff. I would say for me, with cheating, I'll say both. I feel like it's with being faithful, it's taught. But I also think too, knowing what you have. And what I mean by that is, if I know I have a good woman and I know I love her for these things, and I said, man, I don't even want to jeopardize these things that I have or what we've built, or kids, or I know the family courts is going to drag my black ass, or whatever it is, then I know, then I'm going to have some sort of I'm going to have something that's pushing me not to do it. But just to say I'm just not going to cheat. I'm not saying I'm a cheater, but I'm just saying for a person to just say they're just not going to cheat when they can get away with it and nothing happens. I mean, for me to just believe that people just not going to cheat just because it's just the wrong thing to do, I think we're slightly mistaken. But I think if they understand the why behind why they're not going to cheat, then I think that'll give people more of an incentive not to cheat. But if you don't know that why, and that why is not clear, then I mean, ain't no telling what you got going on. Let me ask y'all this. When it comes to love, like say I'm in love with you, you're my wife. I'm in love with you. I love you so much. Can I really love you and really cherish you and adore you and still cheat on you? Even though I love you so much, you're my wife, I adore you. I would do anything for you. I would take a bullet for you. But I cheated.
You cheated once or multiple times?
I cheated once. I fucked up.
Yeah, I think that can happen. It does happen. Yeah, because it's to what you're saying, like we all fall short, right?
Yeah, we do.
It's what I say is don't put yourself in a situation, use wisdom. But let's be honest, a lot of people don't use wisdom. And they put themselves in situations because there goes pride and ego. Pride comes before the fall. Pride, like, oh, I can beat this, or I can be around somebody and not be tempted. You done had too much to drink. You hear about this all the time. This happens when we work conferences before COVID. All right, when we used to all do a lot of work conferences, right? And you say work husband, work wife, you go to y'all everybody at the bar, you having drink, we unwinding after a day of conference, and then you get the talking. It happens. It especially happens on like work trips, and it doesn't mean with the woman or the man they very in love with their spouse, they want to leave them. But to your point, people have a situation that happens and they do regret it and things of that nature. So it's like, okay, that's why I asked you, did it happen once? Because there's a difference. And I think men, y'all kind of abuse this a little bit because y'all know that women, we are, like you said, more forgiving. And we will most of the times we'll be likely to stay because we're thinking like, wow, all of this, like
you built, or why would you want to throw away
over one time? And he's really remorseful. Does he have changed behavior? We're willing, more acceptable to forgive that than if we cheat on y'all. It's like World War V. Like y'all ain't having it, right?
I got a question for Hafiz's name. I was going to say Hafiz, and we reverse that.
It's definitely
because I was going to turn it around and say, okay, Hafiz, y'all in love with each other. Love, mother your children, love her to death. You love her so much.
And she cheats.
She go to Jamaica with her homegirls. You know what I mean? A lot to drink. You know, one of them Rastafarians blew her back out.
Them Jamaican men. Ooh, that's temptation.
She came back and had a guilty conscience. She said, "Damn, you know, maybe her and the Rastafarian